This is the visual representation of exponential functions. Even though we're not explaining all the concepts here, we're explaining the most important ones. Exponential functions look somewhat similar to functions you have seen before, in that they involve exponents, but there is a big difference in the variable is now the power rather than the base. The domain of a function is a complete set of possible values of the independent variable. It's a set of all possible x values which will make the function work and will output real y values. Concavity refers to the directionality of a curve. If the curvature is facing up, then it's upwards. If it's facing down, then it's downwards. An asymptote is a line that a curve approaches as it heads towards infinity.
In the financial world, a savings account with an annual interest rate of R grows exponentially because the amount of money in the account increases annually by the proportion R. In the scientific world, any theoretical population of living organisms exhibits exponential growth as long as it has no resource limitations. First word problem. The population of a city grows at a rate of 5% per year. The population in 1990 was 400,000. What would be the current population, and in what year would we predict the population to reach 1 million? In this case, the problem gives the growth rate and the population in 1990. It first asks to look for the current population, so with the standard formula we just substitute everything. The second question is answered the same way. We substitute everything except the information we are trying to find, which is the year. The standard formula being A equals P, open parentheses 1 plus R over N, close parentheses, and then NT as an exponent.
The Chernobyl accident happened in April 26, 1986. This was the worst nuclear disaster in history. This happened because the operators of the plant violated certain technical specifications without the safety orders.
This accident happened in northern Ukraine near the border with Belarus. Chernobyl was largely abandoned after this disaster, and in 1986, when this happened, Ukraine was still part of Russia. 2 people died immediately as a result of the blast, but another 29 died on the hospital after that. And right now, with the longer term impact of the radiation, it's proved harder to quantify the number of deaths.
And the contamination afterwards was huge, and it distributed in certain areas of Chernobyl in more than the 60%.
What is exponential growth? What is the function and graph that models and represents it? What are the main characteristics, and what is exponential decay? Exponential growth is increase in number or size in the original amount at a constantly growing rate over a period of time. The function is y equals a parentheses 1 plus b parentheses x. The values of x and y will change throughout the function, but the original amount and percent change will remain constant. Exponential decay is the process of decreasing the original amount by a consistent percentage rate over a period of time. The function is y equals a parentheses 1 minus b parentheses x.
What are the implications of using nuclear energy? Do you consider this to be clean? The nuclear energy is one of the most friendly for the environment in its energy production with uranium, and it's very inexpensive. Although the radioactive disposal is one of the biggest problems for this energy production, causing harmful effects on people. We consider that this energy is very dangerous for the atmosphere, since the wastage of uranium can cause a lot of sickness, as seen in the Chernobyl case. Uranium, yeah.
Could the Chernobyl 1986 nuclear disaster have been prevented? How? Yes, the nuclear disaster at Chernobyl could have been prevented. It all started when they wanted to test the reactors to check its safety, but it was tested by inexperienced engineers. The test was performed by electrical engineers who lacked of reactor knowledge. The machines were not well preserved. When the disaster started, the operators didn't shut the reactor completely down. That made the poison spread away. If the engineers had more knowledge about the reactors, the disaster could have been prevented. As for the operators who violated the operation procedure and didn't do the necessary to prevent the poison from spreading and becoming a major disaster. Yeah.
Once the explosion happened, was there any way to stop the radiation spread and its pollution? Maybe the radiation could be stopped from spreading if they would completely shut down the reactors and have more measures to keep food and water clean from poisoning, avoiding people from getting dangerous chemicals. Also, if there would be more experienced people with reactors working there, they would have known what to do in these kind of disasters.
Do you think that the radioactive pollution generated by this disaster reached Mexico? No, because the accident happened very far away from Mexico, and the most affected continent was Europe, not America.
Are you aware that there is a nuclear energy plant in Mexico? Where is it? Do you think it is safe? And do you agree with the fact that there is a nuclear energy plant in your country? Laguna Verde Nuclear Power Station is located in the town of Alto Lucero de Gutierrez Barrio, in Veracruz. We consider it's not safe, since this plant has been in a big risk of a disaster because of the malfunction it has had since the beginning and the lack of the security systems. We don't agree that this nuclear energy plant should be located in Mexico, since it is only producing 3.2% of the energy in the country, and it comes with a lot of problems for the environment, economy, and maybe in the future health.
What do you think and feel about these consequences? What would be a solution proposal for this situation? These consequences are really damaging for the people and for the environment itself, since it causes a lot of diseases and contamination in the environment. The best thing to do would be to be more careful when using these chemicals and radiation, because another disaster like this one could happen. There is nothing we can do to remediate the damages of the Chernobyl accident, but we can prevent another one by having more regulations and being more careful when working with these chemicals.
What are at least 4 environmental consequences in a global scale of the Chernobyl 1986 disaster? 70% of the fallout from the Chernobyl accident landed on Belarus, contaminating 23% of the country. Radiation has concentrated in the sediments at the bottom of lakes and ponds in the contaminated territories. The severe radioactive contamination of mushrooms, berries, game and fish, as well as of grass and hay used as fodder on the daily cattle, are still a major problem for the population. More than 200,000 square kilometers of Europe received levels of 137 Cs, about 37 kbq meters square. Over 70% of the area was in the 3 most affected countries: Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. How did we feel working like this? Did we like it? Was it difficult? What did I like the most of working with my teammates in this forum?
I think this helped us to know how to work with people that we don't know and work in team.
It wasn't difficult to find a way in which we can communicate, even if they were in another high school or campus.
And we think that this topic was very interesting, since it's not something we talk about much. And well, it's good to know what will happen if we don't take care of certain things.
It was very interesting to research about this topic and make a deep investigation about the questions we were asked to answer.